Hello, Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson.
Eat that baby on the tree.
Fix those dolly tracks.
And look out for that cable, it's hot. Give me a hand with this thing.
Mallard, what in the name of the San Francisco Police Department are you doing up here on Telegraph Hill?
Working, Candy, in the name of the San Francisco Police Department.
Here, with these people who are making the movie?
Yeah, how about that? Me, a lieutenant in homicide, and I'm assigned to riding herd on these Hollywood characters.
Oh, it's better than murder.
I'll take murder any day. What are you doing around here?
I did some shopping at Speedy's this morning. While I was pinching the avocados, they told me that there was a Hollywood gang over by Coit Tower shooting some scenes for a movie with a San Francisco background.
They might just as well have stayed in the studio. They brought their own lawns, prop trees, fake bushes, the works. If it ever snowed up here on Telegraph Hill, they'd have brought some of that along, too.
You've never worked in Hollywood, Mallard. Only God can make a tree, but Hollywood presumes to improve on them. What are they doing now?
Just getting ready to shoot a scene, I think.
Oh.
They've been rehearsing it all morning.
What's it all about, do you know?
As far as I can figure, it's a story about San Francisco right after the gold rush. Look at all the costumes.
Very authentic. Looks like they'd been shipped around the horn. By the way, Mallard, do you know who's in the picture?
Some lush tomato named Cherry Dana and a Colorado boy, Buff Arnold.
Arnold? Did you say Buff Arnold?
That's right. Why?
Oh, forgive me, Mallard, dear. I knew Buff Arnold when he didn't have a place to house in. He professed to carry a very warm torch for me.
Aha. So that's why you so casually dropped by.
Oh.
An old flame, huh?
Don't be ridiculous. I didn't even know the guy was here, let alone still in pictures.
A likely story.
All right, quiet, please. Let's have quiet.
Quiet. This is a take.
All set, Mr. Dix. We're ready.
Good. Okay, Cherry, we'll roll this one. Take a chance on it. Just remember to keep up against those trees. We don't want any shots of those modern buildings below the hill.
Oh, remember, Red. Where is my old pal, Buff Arnold, Mallard, dear?
By me. Judging by what's been going on, he's not in this particular scene.
All right, stand by. Roll 'em.
Scene 47, take 10.
Wait a minute. Cut. Oh, where's that coming from?
Out on the bay, Mr. Dix.
Fine thing, a present-day steamer whistle in an 1850 picture. Hold it. Ames.
Yes?
Let me know when the fool ship is tied up. We won't shoot the scene until it's docked.
Yes, sir.
Darn it, I was hoping I'd see some action.
Well, I'll give you some action. Come on, walk around with me, Candy. I'll show you all the sights.
Sights like what, for instance, Mallard?
Oh, all the lights they brought up here. They must have 1,000 of them.
Undoubtedly to wash out the wrinkles on the leading lady's face.
And talk about props. It must have taken a whole freight train to get them up here.
Well, I have to have them.
For instance, look, right up there.
Where, Mallard?
Up there, above. In that tree, hanging by their necks.
Oh, Mallard!
Don't jump like that, Cupcake. They're only dummies hanging from those ropes.
3 of them. They look so realistic.
I must admit, they really do. I understand they use them in a scene where they recreate a lynching in Portsmouth Square.
Recreate, did you say?
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Take another look, honey bun. A good look at the one in the middle.
What are you trying to... Fry me for lard. That one in the middle is no dummy.
You're no dummy either, boy mine. How many times have you looked up there?
Well, just a couple of times, but the last time I looked, the one in the middle wasn't an ex-human being.
With that, I toss the whole thing in your lap, Mallard. I promote you back to homicide.
Oh, why didn't these characters stay in Hollywood?
'Tis a bit of a shame, isn't it? Cluttering up our lovely Telegraph Hill trees with gently swaying corpses. Come on, Mallard. Let's give the director a slight touch of apoplexy.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
It's funny how sometimes when you're lazy and want to do nothing except live the good, pure life, trouble comes up and belts you over the head with a vengeance. Well, that's the way it happened to me. I'd just finished a deal that took me 3 weeks to crack. I made some good money out of it, banked it, and sat back to relax. When I heard about the movie company on location on the other side of the hill, my curiosity got the better of me. As of that moment, my contemplated relaxation was at an end. Period. Paragraph. I literally walked right into trouble because there was Mallard and cut down.
Okay, Mr. Dix. Take a good look at him. You recognize the gent?
I recognize him, yes, but I don't know him. He was one of the extras we used in a scene yesterday.
Did he come up from Hollywood with you?
I'm pretty sure he didn't. I think he was hired here locally. Wait a minute. Who's this young lady? I don't want any outsiders in on this.
Don't fret your little head, Mr. Dix. Aside from being a material witness, she's a well-known private investigator.
Ah, excuse me, I didn't know.
That's all right. No need to apologize. Some of my best friends are movie directors.
Who would keep the roster on your personnel?
My assistant, Bill Ames.
Is he around?
Well, I'm right here, Lieutenant.
Oh, good. Can you give us any dope on this fellow?
Oh, golly, I'm afraid not. I've seen him, but I wouldn't know his name from Adam.
How about the payroll? When do you pay off the extras?
Ah, that's a thought.
We pay off at 5 o'clock tonight.
Why don't we come back then, Mallard? We can check off the names against the pay vouchers. There's one thing extras like to do, and that's get paid. The name that doesn't show up is our friend the corpse.
Okay, we'll let it go like that. What do you pay off?
Room 873, Montfair Hotel.
Make sure everybody's there, unless they want a little trouble thrown at them. I'm sorry, Mr. Dix. You can go on with your shooting now.
No more today. It's too unnerving. Ames, knock it off. Call will be for 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, sharp.
Right, Chief. Break it up, everybody. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, in costumes. And that means 8 o'clock, understand? Not morning.
You mind waiting here for a moment, Candy? I want to put in a call to the coroner's office for a wagon.
Sure, that's all right. Go ahead.
Good. It'll only be a few minutes.
Mr. Dix, pardon me.
Yes?
Can you tell me where Buff Arnold is staying?
What do you want with Buff Arnold, young lady?
I used to know him when he was playing bit parts in Hollywood.
Oh. Did you, work in Hollywood?
I did a little time down there, sitting around in agents' offices.
You know, you're a sharp little cookie. Say, all of a sudden I've got an idea.
I'll bet.
No. On the level, believe me. I have a small part coming up that'd fit you to a T. Good-looking gal, wise, supposed to work in her father's store selling supplies to the miners. Can you, act at all?
I used to shoot a fairly sharp mess of dialogue.
Do you live close by?
Right over there, 1 block. Penthouse on the top.
All the better. As soon as your policeman friend removes the deceased there, why don't we go over to your place and look at the script?
You know something? I've got an idea that's the idea you had the idea about. Okay, I'll look at the script. But for your information, Mr. Dix, I'm interested only in playing a part in your picture. Mallard came back, and I told him what had developed with Dix. He shot me a look that had more question marks in it than a government income tax form. I assured him I could handle the situation, and he left with the body, still clad in its 49er prospector's outfit. Dix issued some final orders, took me by the arm, and we strolled over to my place.
Charming, but positively charming.
Thank you.
What a gorgeous view. How long have you lived here, Miss... Oh, now, isn't that silly? I don't even know your name.
Matson. Candy Matson.
Candy Matson. Never have I heard a name match a personality so completely. I'm Reginald Dix. Just call me Reg.
As you say, Reg. Would you like a drink?
Oh, splendid. Soda highball?
I think I can scrape one together.
This is absolutely enchanting. I'm going to ask to make all my pictures in San Francisco from now on.
I don't think you'd go wrong. Of course, it'd be a little rough if you were making a picture with an Indian background and needed shots of the Taj Mahal and the Himalayas.
Oh, simple. I'd change it to the Ferry Building in Twin Peaks.
Very good. Here you are, Reg.
Thank you. I can use this after that messy discovery up there on that tree. Well, here's to crime.
That's a charming toast. Now then, about this part you were speaking of, I don't even belong to the Screen Actors Guild anymore.
Oh, mere detail. I'll call the studio tonight and have them arrange your membership.
As simple as that. You know, I think if some of your bright boys got together, you could win the war in Korea without half trying.
Oh, let's not be snide, my dear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me a moment. Someone at the door.
Certainly. Whoever it is, though, send them away.
Yes, master.
Hi.
Hi. But now that we've established our highs, is there something I can do for you?
I'm Cherry Dana. Is Mr. Dix here?
Oh, why, yes. Would you wait here, please?
I will not wait here. I want in.
Now, just a minute.
There you are, Ed. You have a short memory, haven't you?
Cherry, what are you doing here? I'm having a conference.
So I see.
I hate to mention it, but this happens to be a private home, Miss Dana. I'll have to ask you to leave.
Don't be boring. You lured my director up here, and I'm going to see that some little local wench doesn't put the squeeze play on him.
Why, you pampered brat. Get out of here right now, or I'll show you how a local wench can back up words with action.
Oh, now hold on here, both of you. Cherry, I resent this intrusion just as much as Miss Matson does, I'm sure.
I'll bet. What about me? You said you were going to drive me back to the hotel.
Very well, it slipped my mind. Oh, I'm sorry, Candy. I dislike scenes of this sort. We'll discuss our business later.
Good. I find now that I'm extremely interested. Good afternoon, Miss Dana. I'll see you later. I was so mad I was boiling. If I'd been a thermometer, quicksilver would have been streaming out of my ears. I did the most natural thing, took a shower, and little by little I simmered down. Actors and actresses are like anybody else. Most of them are darn nice people just trying to make a living, but one ham like Cherry Dana can ruin the picture. Just as I was getting dressed, the ferry building siren blew its top, indicating 4:30. I had to step on it if I was going to be at the Mont Fair at 5 in time for the payroll sequence with the extras. So I stepped on it and found myself in a minor mob scene outside room 873 at the Mont Fair Hotel. Mallard spotted me, grabbed me by the arm, and took me inside the room.
I really didn't expect to see you, Candy.
Why not?
I thought perhaps you were discussing contract terms with Dix by now. Big Hollywood star and all that.
Oh, Mallard, cut it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I call out your names, step up fast and sign the voucher. Anderson, Robert. Apperson, Lou.
Yeah.
Bennett, Bert, Beverly.
I studied the faces as they stepped by the cashier's table set up in the room. They were all types. Anyone could have been a villain, a dance hall girl, a hero, an ingenue, or just plain extra. The roll call droned on in the background. The whole thing took about 10 minutes. And suddenly we were alone. Ames, the assistant director, the girl who had done the actual paying, Mallard, and myself.
Well, that's it.
Who's missing, Ames?
You're in for a bit of a shock.
How do you mean?
Nobody's missing. Everybody listed on our payroll checked in and was paid off.
What?
That's right.
Did you recognize every person who had been paid off?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Well, this is a fine kettle of nothing. We have an extra who's working in the picture, and yet he isn't. So he ends up hanging by his neck from a tree on Telegraph Hill. Who was the Joker?
The Joker, the one you can play wild. Are you sure they're all paid?
Well, positive. Double-checked with their guild cards and signatures.
Well, isn't this cute?
Oh, excuse me, please. Hello? Yes, this is Ames. Oh, yes, Cherry. What? He's what? Great Scott.
What's the matter, Ames? What is it? You're white as a sheet.
Dix. He's just been found shot to death in his room.
From San Francisco, the National Broadcasting Company is presenting Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
Reginald Dix, well-known Hollywood director, shot dead in his hotel room. We were looking for developments. We got them, but not the kind we expected. Mallard led the way up to the suite that Dix had been occupying on the top floor. There was a mob around the door, and my boy Mallard soon dispersed them and instituted some semblance of order. Dix was sprawled out on the balcony overlooking the bay, and an ever-widening pool of blood showed that he'd been hit in the chest. Cherry Dana was pacing the room, smoking a cigarette. Ames stood in the middle with his jaw flapping. And who should be in the room, too, but my old pal from my days in Hollywood, Buff Arnold.
Candy Matson. What a place for a reunion.
Yes, isn't it? How are you, Buff?
Ill. Terribly ill. If I have to step into the other room, I hope you'll understand. Reg was a great friend of mine.
Sure. Sure, let's go in the bedroom. You look sort of green. Besides, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you, Buff.
It's a deal. Anything to get out of here. Let's go.
Wait a minute, Candy. Who is this guy?
Buff Arnold, Mallard, the fellow I was speaking about.
Where were you going?
In there, he doesn't feel too good. The closest he's ever been to blood is a bottle of ketchup and color.
Okay. Don't let him out of your sight. I have a flock of questions and need a flock of answers.
As you say, Mallard, dear.
And don't get carried away yourself.
This the bedroom?
Yeah.
Well, Buff, you seem to be doing all right.
A lot different than when I knew you in Hollywood, Candy.
You look swell, Buff. Too darn swell.
What do you mean?
You bring back too many memories.
You look mighty good yourself, Candy. You're no longer a plump little kid just out of high school. You're downright pretty, gal.
In the good old days, I'd have jumped through hoops to hear you say that.
Got any hoops handy? I'll say it again.
No soap.
Maybe we could revive some of those memories, Candy.
Not a chance, Buff boy. Things have changed. Hollywood and everyone in it, including you, are a part of a dim, sad past. And instead of just plain Buff, that's a rebuff.
Very cute. I haven't heard the gag pulled since yesterday.
Tell me, did you hear about the body that was found on Telegraph Hill this morning?
I sure did. Now, poor Reg. I told him this picture had a jinx on it before we left the studio. Little things that happened right from the start.
Like what?
Well, in the first place, I wasn't even supposed to be in the picture. They were going to give it to some new kid as a build-up. A week before the first day of shooting, he up and disappeared. He hasn't been heard from since. Well, they shoved me into the breach. Then the assistant director tripped and fell off a catwalk, broke both legs. He had to be replaced.
Anything else, Buff?
Yeah. About that time, Cherry Dana whipped herself into a batch of temperament and walked off the lot. Held up production a week. Then the luggage for San Francisco was rerouted somewhere else. Never has caught up with us. Now the body this morning and Dick's just now.
Certainly sounds like a jinx. By the way, how do you and the great Cherry get along, Buff?
Fine. I try not to see her except on the set. Come here, Candy. Just let me hold you in my arms once. Just once. I want the feel of someone who's truly genuine.
You're still just a little boy, aren't you, Buff?
Okay, Arnold, I'd like to, Well, pardon me. I hate to break this up, but I want to talk to you, Mr. Arnold.
That was a fine time Mallard picked to walk in. And then I got to thinking, maybe it was a fine time. He was due to have a little fire set under him. As I walked out into the other room, the boys in blue had arrived, and they were swarming all over the place. Ames was no longer present, neither was Cherry Dana. I wasn't going to give Mallard the satisfaction of an explanation, so I eased out the door and went down to the lobby. I asked where Ames was staying and went back up to his room, 672. A knock on the door produced results.
Just a moment. Oh, Miss Matson. Something you wanted?
Yes, may I come in?
Why, yes. I was just lying down. This thing about Reg has knocked me for a complete loop.
It seems to be quite a shock to everybody. You've been with Reginald Dix for a long time, haven't you, Ames?
Well, off and on, yes. A good number of years.
How about La Dana?
Cherry? Well, I've known her extremely well, even before she became a top-flight star.
Can you give me any idea who might have had it in for Dix? If you can, you better spill. The truth will come out sooner or later, Ames. It always does in things of this sort.
I've only one little thing I can tell. I've already told it to your lieutenant friend.
Oh? And what's that?
As I got back from Telegraph Hill, I dropped by Reg's suite. Wanted to talk about tomorrow's shooting. As I drew near his door, I heard loud arguing.
Arguing? Who were the opponents?
Reg and Cherry Dana.
Mm-hmm. And what were they arguing about, Ames?
You?
So that's it. Tell me, is Cherry the kind of woman who would turn killer on an impulse?
It's hard to say. She has a terrible temper.
Mm-hmm. Does Buff Arnold fit into the picture in any way?
I don't know. He's a sly one, that Arnold. He plays his cards in strictly a commercial manner. May fit into the picture. He and Reg were never too friendly.
I see. Oh, thanks, Amesy. I'll leave now, and you'd better lock your door. The way things are going, you might wake up to find yourself dead. I went up to Cherry Dana's suite, but I drew a blank there, no answer. So I went back to the scene of the murder, Dix's rooms on the top floor. Mallard was just leaving. He shot me a look that would have knocked out a North Korean tank at 1,000 yards and started to brush on by me, but I would have none of it. Now, just a moment, Boy Blue. Come on back to that over 21 level. Just because Buff had his arms around me is no sign we were playing a scene from Romeo and Juliet.
I don't think I've seen that close a grip even in professional wrestling.
Oh, cut it out. What'd you turn up in there? Anything at all?
No, not a thing. Can't even find the murder weapon.
Got any ideas?
Lots of them. We've already taken Miss Dana into custody.
I had a hunch it was leading in that direction.
Incidentally, did you ever hear of a Christopher Seema? He's been a bookie around town here for several years.
Christopher Seema? No, can't say I have. Why?
He was the boy who was hanging from the tree. Oh. According to our files, he dabbled in everything from gambling to blackmail.
Seema. Seema, that name rings bells somehow, Mallard.
One other thing. This isn't personal, you understand?
Yeah.
But stay away from Buff Arnold. We've got our eye on him, too.
Little things were suddenly clicking way back in my mind, awfully vague, but the old processes from years before were coming to life ever so slowly. Mallard had work to do, plenty of it, down at the Hall of Justice, work in which I was included out. I went outside on California Street, watched him get into a squad car with two of his men, and I waved him a goodbye. That was when I had another idea. Dix's suite. Cops were through with it. The body had been removed. But I had a hunch that was the key to the situation. Knowing the manager of the Montfair, it was no trouble at all to get a key to Reg's suite, and that's where I headed, up to the top floor. I let myself into the darkened room, closed the door behind me. With the lights of the city way below seeping through the balcony window, I found a place in back of the settee and sat down to wait and think. The balcony window being opened, the roar of the city traffic underneath came gently through and helped my thinking. And that's when it hit me. Seema. Several years before I had served my term in Hollywood, there was an actress named Vivian Seema. The same face as that of Cherry Dana. Now the clouds were beginning to lift, and at the same time the door opened in the suite and the silhouetted figure of a man entered the room.
Blast the luck.
Okay, Buff. Relax.
What?
This is Candy. Come on over here by the settee. Hurry, I'm expecting company.
What are you doing here, Candy?
You've got the wrong page of the script. That's my line. What are you doing here, Buff?
Honestly, you've got to believe me. I left my lighter here this afternoon. I was afraid the police would find it. Naturally, I can't afford any bad publicity. It'll ruin my career.
I believe you, Buff. You always were fond of that career, weren't you? Don't answer, just keep quiet.
What's up?
A guy named Seema, if I'm right. Since Reginald Dix didn't like him. Wait a minute. I think I hear someone coming along the hall. The door slowly opened and closed again. The dim light from the hall showed the form of another man. Then the dark figure moved slowly but surely across the room. It stopped for a second or two, as though listening for something. Then moved again to the balcony, out onto the balcony, and whoever it was grabbed the ledge above, hoisted his feet up onto the iron grillwork, and hung over the city. That's when I acted. Okay, Ames, stay right where you are, in that position.
What? You think I'm a fool?
Candy's out on that ledge. He's ducked around the outside on that ledge.
I'm a fool. Quick, Buff, go down the hall and get out on the fire escape. Cut him off.
Okay, what are you going to do?
Go out on that ledge after him. You better come back, Ames. You're cut off at both ends.
Oh, no, I'm not. Not with this gun I've got.
That's the same gun you killed Dix with, isn't it? Very clever hiding it up on this ledge out here. No wonder Mallard and his boys didn't find it. Look out there on the city, Ames. One misstep and you go off into space. Think it over. You better come back.
Not on your life.
I'm coming after you.
I'm down the other end, Candy.
Good. Now we've got him.
Yes. Yes, you have. Obviously, this is the end. Perhaps you don't know what it is to love. Perhaps you don't know what it is to be scorned. I do, painfully so. This is the end. But I'm not going to go alone. You're going with me, Miss Matson, like this.
No, the recoil. It'll knock you right out of the neck.
Oh!
So it was just a matter of jealousy. Is that right, Candy?
That's right, Mallard, dear. The same thing you developed when you walked in on Buff Arnold and me.
Okay, so I was burned up. Tell me more.
It was the name Seema that did it, Mallard. Do you know what that is?
All right, I'll play quizzies with you. What's the name Seema?
Seema is Ames, spelled backwards.
Uh-oh.
You see, that was Ames's real name. At one time, he had married Cherry Dana under the name of Seema. When she began to be big in pictures, she divorced him, but he carried the eternal torch.
Silly, she wasn't worth it.
Of course not. Because she collected men. Reginald Dix, not because she loved him, but because she was fading in pictures and because Dix was the only one who could keep her in front of the public.
Logical. But what about the Seema hung up in the tree on Telegraph Hill?
Uh-huh. There we have the plot. The Seema up in the tree was Ames's brother, a ne'er-do-well. The night that Ames arrived in town here, he looked up his brother, got a bit tight, and told him what he'd done. Caused the original leading man to disappear, shoved the original assistant director off a platform, breaking his legs. In general, did everything he could to sabotage the picture. Then he pulled the strings to get himself named as assistant director so he could be near Cherry.
Love and jealousy.
Mallard, I'll get to that in time. Cherry had vaguely promised that she'd remarry Ames. But when he saw his own brother was going to blackmail him, he went crazy. That's when he strung him up with the dummies in the trees. From there, it was just a step to knock off Reginald Dix and have a clear track for himself.
I'll go back to what I said to begin with. Why did these characters from Hollywood have to come up here to San Francisco and louse up our scenery, as well as our police department?
Oh, to heck with your police department. That's the last time I'm going to climb around a ledge hundreds of feet in the air.
Not so strange. Buff Arnold was out on that ledge, too, wasn't he?
Oh, Mallard, sometimes you make me so... That reminds me, I have a date tomorrow night.
Sure, with Buff Arnold.
No, that's tomorrow morning. I'm driving him down to the railroad station. Date for tomorrow night? With you, Mallard, dear. We're going to see a Roy Acuff movie.
Oh, Candy. Roy Acuff. Monarch of all the cowboys.
Yeah, monarch of all the cowboys. I'll see him with you. And if that isn't love, I don't know what is.
Listen again next week at this same time. For excitement and adventure, just dial...
Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
Heard tonight were Hal Burdick as Reginald Dix, John Grover as Ames, the assistant director, Mary Milford as Cherry Dana, Kurt Martell as Buff Arnold, and included in the cast was Ken Langley. Henry Leff plays the part of Lieutenant Ray Mallard. The program stars Natalie Masters as Candy and is written and directed by Monty Masters. Sound effects are created by Bill Brownell, and Eloise Rowan is heard at the organ. The characters in tonight's play were entirely fictitious. Any resemblance to actual people is purely coincidental. Tonight's engineer was Clarence Stevens. The program came to you from San Francisco. Dudley Manlove speaking. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Hello, Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson.
Candy. How's the one-woman Scotland Yard?
Okay, Inspector. If business was any better, you fellows could all retire on your big fat pensions. Is Mallard in his office?
Oh, sure. I just left him there. He's working on a deal, but it's all right.
A deal? Oh, I won't bother him then.
It's all right. When last observed, he was perched neatly on the horns of a dilemma.
Ouch. Well, in that case, I'd better go in, Inspector.
Righto. Drop around any time. High heels sound so much nicer than flat feet.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Lieutenant Mallard.
Candy, for Pete's sake, I wish you'd knock when you'd come in here.
Why?
Well, I might have been,
What, Mallard, dear?
asleep or something. Well, now that you're in, pull up a chair and set a spell.
I heard you were busy.
You heard I was busy, so you barged right in?
I can always barge right out again, you know.
No, stick around. I've done all I can for now.
What have you got, a murder?
In homicide, I'd be working on a purse snatching. Here, take a look. Ever see anything like that before?
Nope. Looks like a small medallion of some kind.
I don't think so. Near as I can figure, it's the symbol of an order or a cult. You recognize the characters on it?
Well, they seem to have an Egyptian flavor.
That was my thinking, too. However, I'm not an Egyptologist.
You can always take it over to the University of California.
University of California?
What's wrong with that?
Well, it'd be like cutting off my own nose. I've got Stanford and 6 points in the big game.
After what UCLA did to them?
Oh, no, sorry.
From now on, I will knock before I come in here. And if I get an answer, I'm going to leave.
You've got a point there.
I know I have.
I mean about taking this over to the university.
Hey, wait a minute. Why didn't I think of it before?
What?
Rembrandt. He has a brushing acquaintance with the Egyptian language and writing.
Rembrandt? Rembrandt Watson? Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'm not. He spent quite a bit of time in Egypt before the war. Come on, get in the car and we'll drive over to his place. I've got to see him anyway.
I'm sorry, Candy, no can do. I got to be in Judge Wallach's court in 10 minutes.
Well, let me have it and I'll take it over to him. If Rembrandt comes up with anything, I'll report right back.
Okay, just don't lose it, that's all.
Why? Can't you get another one?
Well, not this particular one, we can't. We took it off the body of a woman they found floating last night in Stowe Lake.
Stowe Lake in Golden Gate Park?
Mm-hmm.
What a charming place to take your last bath. Oh, I almost forgot what I came here for to begin with. Here's the book I borrowed from you, Mallard, dear.
Book? Which book is that?
Latest facts and figures on the rise and fall of crime throughout the Western Hemisphere, plus a comprehensive digest on criminal trends in the United States as compiled by police departments of major cities throughout the country.
Oh, thanks. Did you get anything out of it?
The book? Heck no, I just barely managed to get through the title.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
I slipped the medallion into my coin purse, slipped the coin purse into my handbag, slipped Mallard a peck on the cheek, and slipped out of the Hall of Justice. I climbed into my car and drove over to California Street opposite Old St. Mary's Cathedral, almost bordering Little Alley facing St. Mary's Square. It is there that a very old friend of mine lives, Rembrandt Watson, the eminent Pacific Coast photographer.
I'm so glad you came by, Dove. Today of all days, I need the firm stanchion of your friendship upon which to brace myself.
Rembrandt, what on earth are you talking about?
Never has the weight of gloom rested so heavily on me shoulders. Never has the mantle of depression hung o'er me head as it does now.
Oh, put the hand back in the icebox. What gives here, Ducky?
You are gazing upon a man about to be bereft of a home.
You mean you're being evicted?
Not yet. One must face eventualities.
Can't you pay your rent? Is that it?
Oh, don't be silly, Candy. I have plenty of money.
Well, then in heaven's name, why the Hamlet routine? What do you mean you're going to be evicted?
Well, simply this, girl. A bunch of uncouth varlets are going to build an underground garage in the square next door. May I ask what is so funny?
Well, you probably won't have to move. Chances are they'll never touch this building.
But think, Candy. The dirt, the noise.
Well, I've never known either one to affect you before, Rembrandt.
It's not myself I'm thinking about. It's Henry, me Great Dane. All those steam shovels and riveting machines that have to give Henry a nervous stomach.
And on a Great Dane, that's something.
Yes, isn't it? And here's something that'll prove I'll be evicted. Look, this morning's paper.
Mm-hmm.
Right down here.
Preliminary to construction of a garage beneath St. Mary's Square was approved yesterday by the Board of Supervisors Finance Committee. The project, recommended by the San Francisco Parking Authority, involves use of St. Mary's Park subsurface area and 7 adjacent parcels of privately owned property in the area bounded by Kearney, Pine, California, and St. Anne Street.
There. You see what I mean?
Well, I'd hardly call this hovel a parcel, but Yes, I do see what you mean. Well, what are you going to do about it?
What can I do about it? Look for a new place to live, that's all.
Laddie boy, I'm glad you said that. I've been meaning to have a word with you for quite some time. Now, you're doing a whale of a good business. More and more, you're catering to an extremely fashionable clientele.
That's true.
It's about time you lived the part. Your photographs are becoming known throughout the country. You couldn't have stayed here much longer anyway.
But it has such atmosphere, Candy.
That it does, especially when the wind's from the east. Tell you what, you help me on a little deal right now, and I'll spend the rest of the day looking at places with you.
Oh, Candy, will you? I was hoping you'd say that. You're a lamb.
In the spring, I am.
Oh, I get it. Spring lamb.
Yes.
Oh, la. I feel ever so much better already.
Attaboy. But before you bound completely out of your skin, Ducky, take a look at this. Wait a minute. There.
Fascinating. What is it? An amulet of some kind?
I don't know. That's why I came to see you. What does it say on there?
It's in Arabic. Awfully fine print. What did I do with my glasses?
On your forehead.
Oh. El Magi, El Hada, El Mastaqbal. There's one I can't seem to translate. Wait a moment. Oh, of course. Milky.
What does it mean, Rembrandt?
Well, I'm not exactly sure of my translation, but I'd take it to read the past, the present, the future are mine.
That sounds good enough to me. Let me make a phone call, dear, and I'll be right with you. Tell me, Ducky, does that expression mean anything to you? Have you ever heard it before?
No, there are literally thousands of such sayings in Arabic. It could refer to almost anything.
That's what I was wondering about.
Headquarters, DeLucci speaking.
Oh, hello, DeLucci. This is Candy Matson. Is Lieutenant Mallard there?
Lieutenant Mallard? No, Miss Matson. He left with Judge Wallach and the jury on that Happy Dan supermarket killing. Out of Lake Merced. Probably be there the rest of the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Would you write this down for me?
Okay.
El Maji, El Hader, El Mastaqbal, Hum Milky.
Miss Matson, this is a phone conversation?
It's legit.
Well, in that case, Gesundheit.
Thank you. Now, have you got that?
I guess so.
Good. Just sign my name to it and put it on Mallard's desk, will you?
Sure, if you say so.
Thanks, DeLucci. Goodbye.
Candy, are you crazy? Mallard won't understand that.
Crazy? Just the other way around. This is one night I know I'm going to get Mallard to call me.
Candy, you fool. But you're a nice fool. Just having you assure me that moving from here is the right thing to do has removed all me troubled thoughts. Transformed me into a blithe spirit.
A blithe spirit? Well, come on, blithe spirit. Let's go haunt for houses. Knowing Rembrandt as I do, he's the sort of a man who would open a doll factory across the street from a boys' school. But in this case, I was going to make sure he'd fit the locale to the business and vice versa. But what was the locale to be? Suddenly, I had it. There was a barn type of building out on Octavia Street, just off Pacific. Used to be a dance studio, but somehow or other, I seem to recall a for rent sign on the place. And that's where we went.
What is it, Candy? Looks like the place might have been a stable.
I imagine it was at one time. I do know it was a dance studio for a while.
It's for rent, all right. There's the sign.
I hope we can get in. You'll like it, I'm sure. It's just ideal for a photography studio. And it has plenty of room upstairs for living quarters and a fine big backyard out in back for Henry.
Sounds ideal. If I could only see it.
Let's walk around to that little wooden bridge at the side. Maybe there's a window we can peek through. If not, we'll run down to the real estate office.
You see?
The outside needs fixing up, but not too much.
No, as a matter of fact, if the place is any kind of shape at all and the owner is willing to talk business, I might be interested in buying the place.
What?
Well, why not? Now that I'm in the mood, and I've saved a fair amount of money the past year or two.
Oh, here's a window. Pretty dirty. Wait a minute.
Can you see anything, Candy?
A little. Enough to give you an idea how much space you have in the studio itself. Here, take a look.
Oh, it's wonderful. Just perfect. I could do all the portrait work up in front there and put all the equipment back in the... Oh!
Ducky, what is it?
I saw a man in there.
Let's see. He's motioning to us. I don't understand what... Is there a door down that way, Rembrandt?
Wait till I take a look. Yes, I see one.
Oh, that's what he wants. Come on.
Who do you suppose he is, dear?
Caretaker, maybe. We'll find out.
Was there something you wanted?
We're just looking around. We saw the sign out in front. Are you the caretaker?
No. I am the owner.
Oh, then you live here.
Again, no. There was a fire here last night. I came over to investigate.
A fire?
Yes. There wasn't much damage done. One of the neighbors saw it, and the fire department arrived almost immediately.
Lucky for you. How much rent are you asking?
I'm afraid you'll have to take that up with the real estate people. I let them handle all my transactions.
Would you be willing to sell?
I might, but that's something you have to discuss with them, too. That sounds odd, does it not? But much better off if I don't transact my own business.
Sure. Would you mind if we looked around? Mr. Watson here is rather interested.
I'm afraid that is out of the question. You see, the electricity had been turned off. You would have to use matches.
We'll be very careful, sir.
I've got matches right here in my purse.
No. It is impossible. After what happened last night, I'm afraid things might be misunderstood. I should be accused of...
Accused? Accused of what, Mr.
And what did you say your name was?
I didn't, and neither did you. We have a quaint custom here in the United States.
I am not interested in custom. I'm only interested in keeping my appointment.
You'll keep your appointment, I assure you. Do you remember high-low Rembrandt?
Oh, yes. A quaint little device used with a great deal of success on the gridiron.
Yes. Would you like to take high, and I'll take low?
A pleasure, really. Now?
Get his arms if you can, Rembrandt.
I'm trying to beg us like an eel.
I think he needs a little persuasion on the head, like so.
Oh, dear. I hope you didn't tap him too hard.
No, he just went sleepy by for a little while.
May I ask the reason for this unwomanly outburst on your part, Dove?
You certainly may, Slugger. Look, up there on that beam above us.
Oh, dear. Where are my glasses?
Back up on your forehead.
Oh. Now, what did you want me to see?
Up there. A sign on that beam. Just barely visible, but you can make it out.
Candy, no. El Mahdi, El Hada, El Mastaqbal, Milky.
Sure. I saw it when we first came in. When the boy on the floor mentioned matches, it gave me a perfectly natural chance to open my purse and flash the medallion. He saw it all right. He stopped like he'd been sapped.
He was?
Twice, yes. Once by the medallion, once by me. I think we've got something, Rembrandt. Come on, let's get to a phone and call Mallard quick. And may I say something, Ducky?
Certainly, dear.
Well, I shouldn't say it, but that was the prettiest high-low I've ever seen.
From San Francisco, the National Broadcasting Company is presenting Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
I left my gun with Rembrandt, who by this time was sitting on our little friend. I took off, found a grocery store about 3 blocks down, and placed a call to Mallard. Fortunately, he was in, and after I told him what was happening, he was out again, this time headed for the former dance studio. I ran back to the place, and Sleeping Beauty was showing signs of coming to, with Rembrandt still riding a choppy sea on the guy's twisting chest.
I'm so glad you're back, girl. Miss Steed is beginning to buck a bit, and I did so want to avoid smacking him on the noggin again.
Yeah, I don't blame you. After a while, it begins to hurt. Here, give me the gun, Rembrandt. Thanks. Now, stand back. If the Joker tries anything, there's going to be badminton with bullets for birds.
Did you get Mallard?
Yes, he'll be here in a moment or two.
In the Hall of Justice? That'll be forever.
You don't know Mallard when he has a chance to play with that siren.
Oh.
Yeah, Tessman's snapping out of it.
Oh, I think, miss, you will regret exceedingly what you have done.
Maybe so, maybe no. Now, care to tell us about this past, present, and future are mine stuff?
I'm not saying a word.
Does it surprise you I know the translation? You might as well tell us. You'll have to in the long run.
I have nothing to say, and I mean that.
I'll bet you do. Wait a minute. See who it is, Rembrandt.
It's Mallard and his platoon system.
Oh, good. Open the door for them.
Well, this is cozy. All you need is a 4th for bridge. And I kibitz?
He's all yours, Footflat.
Okay, get 'em, boys. Let's go.
Hey, wait a minute. You haven't seen the building.
The building can wait. This cookie's hot, and I want to keep 'em that way. Like I said, boys, take 'em away. Give 'em that big hall of justice.
123 O'Leary, and we were at the jailhouse on Washington Street. 456 O'Leary, and our lad was whisked away into the inner sanctums for a pleasant little game called Information, Please. 789 O'Leary, and Mallard was back in his office snorting fire at me. And when he snorts fire, Sister Susie, it's frightening.
What are you trying to do? Have the whole city administration down on my neck?
Why, Mallard, what do you mean?
I'll tell you what I mean. We've arrested a man who's completely in the clear. He can shoot the works at us, sue us for false arrest.
Wait a minute. Something's off the beam here. What's his name?
Tessman, Al Tessman.
How do you know he's in the clear?
Because we checked just now. He's been a respectable citizen of San Francisco for over 20 years. Owns a lot of real estate around town. Fine reputation, excellent credit, the works. And you have to stir up a hornet's nest.
I don't know what to say.
I do. Go home and stay there. I have a hunch the guy's going to press an assault and battery charge against you and Rembrandt. And he's got every legal right to do it, too.
Yipes. I wonder how I'll look in stripes. Mallard was just plain out-and-out sore. Judging the mess on its face value, he was entitled to be sore. But I'm not the gal to take things on face value. That sign on the beam out at the old studio definitely had a link with the inscription on the amulet. I was sure of it. And I was sure that Tessman was a link, too. So I fell back on the private eye's first lesson, how to shadow a suspect. The use of doorways, trees, buildings, shrubs, fences, and etc. So hiding behind an etc., I waited outside the Hall of Justice until I saw Tessman leave the building. All he did was snag a cab and disappear into an apartment house on the top of Clay Street. I checked the ground floor and found there were only 3 outlets. The main entrance, the service entrance alongside, and the garage around the corner. I parked across the street where I could see all 3 and waited. And waited. About 2 a.m., I figured Tessman had holed up for the night, so I went home and got myself a nice little jolt. My penthouse was a mess. It looked like a senior-grade monsoon had ripped through the place. It stacked up that Tessman couldn't have done it, so there must be somebody else who wanted in on the act. As far as I could tell, nothing was missing, so I straightened up as best I could and hit the sack. The alarm went off at 5 o'clock the next morning, and I struggled into my clothes, drove over to Rembrandt's place, rustled him into my car, and we took off.
You're mad, Candy. Positively mad. What's the idea of waking me up in the middle of the night?
It's not the middle of the night, Ducky. It's morning. Remember, the early birds get the worms.
For a change, I'd like to see the early worm get the bird. What are we doing gallivanting about like this?
We're putting the shadow on Tessman.
Is he the worm?
One of them. In spite of the fact that Mallard whitewashed him. Here we are.
How lush. The Blake Essex.
We'll just park here. Hunch down in your seat, Ducky. I hardly imagine our worm has departed yet. A half hour passed by. Just as the sun peeked over the East Bay hills and scattered its own bright rays on the water of the bay, a car backed out of the Blake Essex garage. It was Tessman, all right. He wheeled the car down Clay Street, and we followed. He turned left on Taylor, and again when he reached Pacific. I had a hunch where he was going. He crossed Van Ness Avenue, and we did likewise. That was when Rembrandt spoke up.
I hate to mention it, dear, but I think the shadowers are being shadowed.
How do you mean?
I've looked behind several times. There seems to be a car following us.
Just a coincidence. I wouldn't worry about it. Look, our boy's turning off onto Octavia. Just as I thought, he's returning to the studio.
What do we do now?
Go as slowly as we can. Give him time to park the car, get inside the building, and then go in after him.
Are you sure you know what you're doing, Candy?
Nope.
Oh. Well, then it's all right.
We'll go past Octavia to Laguna and down to Broadway and come back from that direction. That should do it. Now to double back along Broadway.
I dislike being repetitious, girl, but the car's still following us.
Well, there's nothing like a showdown. Here we are at Octavia. Let's find out. Look, across the street at the studio. Out in front there. Bags of cement, sand, and a pile of bricks.
That wasn't there when we left yesterday.
No.
There's our friend, Candy, if he is.
Well, I'm going to find out about this right now.
Please, Miss Matson, remain seated in your car.
There's a gun, Candy.
That's a naive observation, Rembrandt. Looks more to me like a cannon.
I assure you I won't hesitate using it. Now, if you and Mr. Watson will get out in an orderly manner and walk across the street into the studio, there will be no trouble.
Looks like we have no choice. Come on, Ducky. This should be great sport. When you have a gun that size poking into your nose, it's easy to be convinced. We walked across the street and into the studio. Even with the brilliant morning sunshine outside, the place was dark and grim. And Tessman lad was waiting to meet us, wearing the very latest in smirks.
Just as you planned, Master. It was so easy. They fell into our trap beautifully. And now they shall feel no pain. To work, Tessman. There can be no further delay.
Yes, Master. It shall be done.
He calls me Master. And that is as it should be. Now, Miss Matson, now that you've so conveniently returned to our shrine, the amulet, please.
I haven't got it. I left it at home in another purse.
It wasn't in your place last night.
So you're the character who wrecked my apartment.
That is right. And now, if you will be so kind as to empty your purse on the table there.
You better do it, Candy.
Yes. There seems to be no alternative.
Now the coin purse, please. Yes, the amulet. Thank you.
There's a streetcar token, too. You can have that if you want it.
The past, the present, the future are mine. Mine, Miss Matson. An old saying of one of the ancient pharaohs. I adopted it for myself. Rather brilliant, wouldn't you say?
I'd say you need a new scriptwriter.
Now I shall tell you about your future. This building, being on a hill, was built on solid rock foundations. My faithful servant, Tessman, is an expert stonemason. You see that chamber-like affair hewn into the rock? Tessman is going to build a brick wall across it. You are going to be sealed inside, also like the ancient pharaohs. Only it will take more than a Howard Carter or a Lord Carnarvon to discover you.
The guy was a madman, and a madman usually keeps his word. Tessman went to work. Little by little, the ceiling wall of bricks took shape. Once I pressed my hand against the bricks. They must have been using a fast-hardening mortar mix of some kind. The wall was as firm as the ages. Zoma smiled. Finally, there was an opening just large enough to crawl through. That's when Zoma spoke up.
Enough, Tessman. I will complete the work.
As you will, Master.
My mission here is finished. You three are the only ones who know about me. And so I shall destroy all evidence and move on to newer fields. Tessman, in you go.
What? Master, no. No. I have served you faithfully.
I said get in.
No, I won't die. I won't. Not even for you.
What? That fool. The future belongs to me. You two, get him.
What?
Shove him into the tomb. Now. I trust you won't be quite so idiotic. Suffocation isn't too unbearable. I think I shall call this the Tomb of the Wayward Three. Yes, that will be good. Is he in?
Yes.
Very well. You may follow.
Go ahead, Rembrandt. I'm sorry I got you into this.
It's all right.
And now for the final act. The complete obliteration. Yes. People all over the world have lost their way. They struggle in darkness. It is up to me to bring them the truth. For after all, El Hadi, El Hader, El Mostakbal Humilki, all mine.
What about that woman you dumped into Stowe Lake, Zoma?
A very generous lady. She contributed over $15,000 to the cause. But then the poor thing began to doubt me. Said something about going to the authorities. Most unfortunate. It was then that even I, Zoma, made a mistake. I forgot about the amulet I had given her. She was still wearing it about her neck. I will not make that error again. And now, like the final toast to life, the last brick. Sleep well, foolish ones. Forever.
Get your hands straight up in the air, Mac.
You desecrator!
I said get your hands up!
Yes, I will, like this!
Candy, where are you?
Over here, Mallard. Behind this brick wall.
A fine thing, that's all I've got to say. Running around and messing things up. Boy, he's really got you tucked away, hasn't he?
Come on, Mallard. Get us out of here. We can hardly breathe.
We?
Rembrandt and I.
Oh, no.
Your pal Tessman, who's past breathing.
Boy, you can sure do it, can't you, Candy? I think I ought to leave you in there. You almost messed this whole thing up.
I did? How?
Why did you think we released Tessman?
Tessman.
Yeah, I know. Ollie Tessman. I'll call him Tessman. Because it was the first lead we got on this joker Zoma. We've been after him for months.
Why?
Playing on the superstitious people with a yen for the occult. We had nothing to go on until we fished that woman out of Stowe Lake with the amulet around her neck. And you have to go and stick your pretty nose into the picture.
What about Tessman?
Up until he met Zoma, he was okay. Doing quite well in real estate. Then along came the master. Tessman turned over the studio for Zoma to use as a temple. But after he dumped the tomato into Stowe Lake, Zoma realized he'd have to liquidate his affairs and get the bejavers to other parts of the country. With you and Rembrandt making like cops and robbers, he knew he had 3 people to get out of the way. He almost got away with it.
But how did you get here when you did?
Sheer luck, Cupcake. I was only returning to make a routine checkup on this joint. Sister, are you lucky?
You can say that again.
All right. Sister, are you?
Oh.
On second thought, maybe you aren't.
What do you mean, Mallard, dear?
If there's one thing I can't stand, it's an interfering woman. I think I'll just leave you in there.
Mallard, no.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night.
Mallard, you can't do this.
Irene.
Get us out of here.
Okay, on one condition.
Sure. What is it?
Promise you'll go to a Roy Acuff movie with me tonight.
Roy Acuff movie. What do you think, Rembrandt?
A fate worse than death.
That's what I thought, too. So long, Mallard. On your way out, just seal in that last brick, will you?
Listen again next week at this same time. For excitement and adventure, just dial
Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
The part of Tessman was played by John Grover. Zoma was Lou Tobin. Henry Leff is heard as Lieutenant Ray Mallard, and Jack Thomas is Rembrandt Watson. The program stars Natalie Masters and is written and directed by Monty Masters. Bill Brownell creates the sound effects, and Eloise Rowan is heard at the organ. Our engineer was Frank Barron. Any resemblance to actual people is purely coincidental. The characters in the story were entirely fictitious. The program came to you from San Francisco. Dudley Manlove speaking. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Would you like a shout out? Leave a comment in the section below. Tell me who you want to shout out to, who you want to shout out from, and we'll get it up here for you. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, that way you won't miss any. We got a lot more of these. Check out our playlist. Also check out the description below, and we will see you next time.